guys, Davinator right here, and today we got some Call of Duty Black Ops gameplay, not Black Ops 2, just Black Ops. Now today I'm going to be discussing the best action movie of 2014 in my opinion. Yes, I know 2014 ended, almost 3 months ago, but I still had to do a little bit of catching up. I had to watch John Wick and The Raid 2. But anyway, now that I've watched both movies now, I'm here to discuss. Now, Captain America, The Winter Soldier was an excellent action movie. There's so many good action sequences. It has one of my favorite fist fights of the year, between him and the Winter Soldier. Actually, there's two. Both of them were really good. I prefer the first one, though. But anyway, there were great shootouts and chase scenes. There was a really good chase scene involving Nick Fury, but yeah, it was a great movie. It's like an A-plus movie for me. I loved it. It's one of my favorites of the year, but it's not quite my favorite action movie of the year, although it's definitely up there. Edge of Tomorrow was one of the main movies in my running for favorite action movie of the year, because these action sequences were incredible. They're so chaotic and frantic, but it wasn't like Michael Bay chaotics to where you can hardly even tell what's going on sometimes. You can still completely tell what's going on, but it's so chaotic and frantic, and the mimics were just such an interesting, enemy for the humans to fight against, and they're just so cool how they kind of shape-shifted and morphed around every second. And and just how they were just they were very frantic and crazy, and they would just flip around all over the place, and hardly anyone could even get a beat on them and shoot them or anything. It's just, they made for some excellent action sequences. But anyway, and then there's, we got Guardians of the Galaxy, another excellent movie. Great movie, not quite excellent. I really like Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it is a little bit overhyped. It's not one of the greatest films of all time, like some people are kind of sort of making it out to be, but it is definitely a very good movie. And yeah, it had some great action sequences. However, I would have wished the movie ended with a big throwdown at the end, because technically it did, but it was different. It was original, but it wasn't that exciting at the end. It was still entertaining, but just watch the movie and you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, then we got, actually the Raid 2 came out before, before Guardians of the Galaxy, but oh my gosh, the action sequences in the Raid 2 are absolutely mind-blowing. Wow. They're some of the best fight scenes I've seen since The Matrix. So Jackie Chan fight scenes, but times two. Seriously, they're so good. They're so brutal. Dang, there are a bunch of moments to where I was like, oh man, God, that was gross. But yeah, there are a bunch of really brutal moments in the movie. It's very bloody and violent, and yeah, it's filmed very well. There's a lot of handheld cam, but there's no shaky cam, and yeah, it's just incredible. Also, a little movie that I'm going to throw in. I don't really consider this to be in the running for one of the best action movies of the year, but I'll mention it because it did actually have some pretty good action sequences. Snowpiercer also had some pretty brutal fight scenes, though not as much so as the Raid 2, and that was a fail right there in Black Ops. Anyway, but yeah, not as much so as the Raid 2, and the choreography is not as complex and mind-blowing as the Raid 2's, but it is still, there are some pretty good fight sequences, and yeah, they're really well done. And also, it's just a great movie. I definitely recommend you watch Snowpiercer. It's on Netflix if you haven't seen it already. But anyway, and then I think, John Wick. John Wick is a very good movie. And, if you want to know what I think of that movie, just watch the review on the channel. But yeah, and it had very, very good action sequences. They were filmed so well. Just the fight choreography is some martial arts mixed with, gun combat. It's gun fu, as I think the director coined it. I'm about to loop this footage around. I'm sorry about this. Yeah, I did this also in my John Wick movie review. I apologize for this. But yeah, this video is about the discussion. But anyway, and John Wick was a great action movie. Yeah, the action sequences were really good. However, my pick for the best action movie of the year, the main ones that are in the running, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Edge of Tomorrow, John Wick, and The Raid 2. Those are the four that I consider to be hands down better than the rest in regards to action. I mean, there are, of course, some other movies that had good action too. Like, I mean, X-Men Days of Future Past had decent action. I honestly, that was the only thing I didn't like about that movie. I thought the action sequences, I thought there should have been a little bit more. Like, I think there should have been a little bit more fighting involving Wolverine. Because, like, the movie The Wolverine that came out in 2013 kind of spoiled me on that because that had so many really good Wolverine fight scenes. But anyway, yeah, that is definitely one of my favorite action movies of that year. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, X-Men Days of Future Past, the action sequences still were pretty good. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, Edge of Tomorrow, John Wick, The Raid 2, and Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Those are the main ones that I was considering. And I'm gonna have to say The Raid 2. Now this is kind of a cliche because there have been a whole bunch of people that have said that The Raid 2 is hands down the best action movie of the year, one of the best action movies like ever in the past many years. Yeah, and I have to agree though. I mean, the action sequences are insane. I can only think of a couple movies to where I would say the action sequences I think are better, or maybe not even better, just like on par in some ways. Like, I mean, I think the action sequences in The Matrix are on par, and let's see, just I don't know, just a handful of other movies I can't even think of offhand that I can actually name that I think are a little bit better in regards to action. But yeah, it's one of the best action movies I've ever seen. If you judge it purely on action, the story was interesting, but it's not like it's not like amazing. Like if the movie like the movie really focuses on the story, and there's a whole bunch of dialogue scenes compared to the first movie. But I mean, there's still a whole ton of action, but there's a lot more dialogue in the first movie. But yeah, and the story is interesting. But if the movie, if it didn't have the action, and it was mainly about the story, it'd be like a B minus movie for me. It'd be like decent. It's the characters are kind of interesting, and I mean, I like the main character. It'd be still kind of interesting. However, if it had like way less action than it does, then it would be like a B minus movie for me. It'd be like, yeah, okay, kind of interesting, but a little bit too slow going for me. But however, when you add in the action, it brings the movie up 3-letter grades for me. This is an A minus movie for me. So it's one of the best action movies I've ever seen when you just judge it as far as action. Like if you judge movies as far as just like the movie as a whole, including the story, then I think Edge of Tomorrow is much better than The Raid 2. I think Captain America: The Winter Soldier is much better. But yeah, The Raid 2, definitely my favorite action movie of the year. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please rate and comment and subscribe. And if you want to, you can also share. I know I started rambling in a couple parts, but that's just kind of how I do. Anyway, have a nice day. Get out of my face!